Hi there guys, today we're talking about grammar. More specifically, some of the typical mistakes that people make when they're learning and studying grammar. My name is Rob and I'm a full-time teacher of British English, ESL, which is English as a second language. I'm also a language student myself. I've learned Spanish to fluency, I've got conversational Russian, and I also speak a little bit of French. I've spent a lot of time around successful students of English and also other polyglots, which are, people who speak a lot of languages, people like myself. So I feel like I've got a good perspective on what works and what doesn't, and today I want to share some of that perspective with you so that you can get some benefit from it. If you find this video useful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Here on My English Teacher Rob, we're all about helping you to become more fluent and confident in English so that you can, go out into the world and make new friends and connections while speaking English. Let's get stuck in with point number one.
If I find my way home, yeah. Wouldn't it be crazy? Don't you still amaze me?
The first and probably the most common mistake that I see students making with grammar is trying to memorize or to remember all of it. They use what I might call the put it back on the shelf for later approach, which literally means you take the book off the shelf, you read the explanation of a topic, you complete the exercises, and then you close the book and you put it back on the shelf for later until some theoretical point in the future when you might need it. The problem with this is that you're not getting any practice with the grammar. This is the equivalent of like buying a new TV or a washing machine, reading the instruction book and trying to memorize every single word, and then putting it back in a drawer for a few months and then trying to remember how the washing machine works later on. Now, you probably would have forgotten by that time, right? But this is what everybody does with grammar. What would you do with the washing machine? You take the instruction book, you read the instructions for the most important information that you need to get the washing machine working, or the TV, and then you'd use it straight away. And that's what you should be doing with your grammar. Reading the most important bits and using it straight away. The second mistake I see people making is placing too much emphasis on grammar. Now, grammar certainly is important, but it's not the only aspect of learning a language. You want to be focusing on getting as much exposure to the language as you can, and then taking like a corrective approach with the grammar. Grammar is also the most theoretical and perhaps the most boring aspect of learning a language. I hate to say it, but it's kind of true. You want to be getting as much exposure through reading, listening, speaking the language as possible, and then using the grammar later on to tidy up what you've already got, to fill in the gaps, to clean up your expression, to help you to learn new expressions that perhaps you haven't encountered yet, to draw your attention to certain features of the language. But it's not the only part. Mistake number 3 is trying to learn all of the grammar, like all of it. Take the book and put it in my head. It's just too much. You don't need all of the grammar. Not all grammar was created equal. Some of it is not going to be relevant to your particular exam or to your particular context. If you're working in customer services in English, you want English for customer services, and you need to study English grammar that's suitable for that purpose. What's more, not all grammar is in frequent use in English. There are lots of forms that you might see in a Shakespeare play that are not going to be used in a modern context, for example, and you would sound a bit ridiculous if you tried to. There is one notable exception to this rule, which I feel I should point out, and that's teachers, because if you're a teacher, obviously you need to have a wider and deeper understanding of grammar than the students that you're going to be teaching. But for most of us, we don't need to have that level of depth. The fourth mistake, and well, not really a mistake, but it kind of is because it could hold you back in your language learning, is only using one resource, like one textbook. If you read the explanation of a particular topic and it's not making sense to you, like if it's just not going in, you might blame yourself and give up, or decide that you're just stupid and you're not getting it. But that might not be the case. It could just be that particular book that you do not get on well with it, and you might have a better experience and a more productive time using a different book. Personally, I like to use a combination of 2 or 3 different books combined with online research. I search online references, and also I look on YouTube for videos of grammar explanations, because I feel like having several different explanations of the same topic helps me to understand it in greater depth and makes it much more likely that I'm going to remember it later on because I've been exposed to more examples. Mistake number 5 is obsessing about grammar. This is kind of similar to the other 2 points that I've already mentioned, but this is people who are studying grammar for like 6 hours a day. Some crazy people out there, some crazy students of mine have come to me and they say, Rob, I'm studying grammar for 6 hours a day. Your efforts are commendable. I'm really happy that you've got so much time to dedicate to English, but please just spread that study out on different areas. 6 hours of grammar, how on earth are you going to remember all that information? You need to include some practice of the grammar in there in order for it to be really effective. And after 6 hours of rules and structures, are you really going to remember all of that the next day? Mistake number 6 is not producing anything. You've got to speak, guys. I've said this so many times, but if you're not speaking, what are you doing? Why are you learning the grammar? The whole purpose of learning grammar and studying it is because you've got something missing when you're speaking or when you're writing. Like you're missing some rule that you need in order to express your idea, to get it out of your head and into the world in a more clear and concise form. So when you learn these rules, you should be looking for opportunities to use them straight away. Not just learning them and saying, oh, that's interesting, and then forgetting about it. Learn it, practice it, use it. Question of the day: have I missed anything off the list? Do you make any of these mistakes, and how are you going to correct it? Put your answers in the comments underneath the video. This has been the My English Teacher Rob channel, where we're all about helping you to become more fluent and confident in English. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Just click on that little bell next to the subscribe button. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.